can see just store after store after store after store, just pretty much empty. So I'm standing outside a mall in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania. And it's called the Montgomery Mall. You can see behind me with the Anchor store, the Macy's. But today's video is going to be about malls and how they're dying across America.
This place is looking a little run down. Ooh, a JCPenney's used to be here.
And I'm going to take you through a few of them, including this one, which I visited last year. And we'll visit it again this year. And you'll see some of the traits of different malls from around the country. You know, malls are a very nostalgic element of my life, and that if you're in your late 30s, 40s, or 50s, they're a part of your life as well.
I want to go lecture the food court businesses that are still using styrofoam. Lead-based toys! Lead-based toys!
Sit on a bench. Sit on a...
But a mall like this used to be a Saturday. I can tell you right now, it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday in the fall. And there's a few cars behind me, but there's a lot of empty space. Also an oversized parking lot.
You got us into this parking lot, pal. Now you get us out. You want out of this parking lot? Okay.
Would there be anything else?
Yes, do you have a Miss Piggy?
It's pants and burgers. Yeah, lots of space in this mall.
And I'm gonna get run over out here because I'm in the middle of an empty parking lot. That's what happens when there's not enough cars to fill up a lot. People run through here like crazy people. They're gonna run me over. Anyway, this place used to be a Saturday. And what I mean by that is it used to be where my dad would say, hey, we're going to the mall later, you better be ready. And I would take note, and I'd actually go put my good clothes on to go to the mall. And it was a few-hour event. I used to put on my good jeans to go to the mall. And treating malls like it was a big deal because you were going to be seen there. You were going to be seen at the mall, and you wanted to make sure you looked your best. You're also going to go shopping for other clothes, so you want to look good doing that too. We would go shopping, we'd get food, and now, well, as you know, malls are kind of going away and they're kind of dying, and it's pretty interesting to see what that looks like. So now malls are just big empty spaces, big empty lots, dead anchor stores, parking lots that are way too big and shouldn't even be that big. So, as you can see, oh my god, oh fuck, that's not gonna work. So why this particular topic for this video? This is the mall that I grew up with as a kid in the 80s and 90s. It's the one closest to my home where I grew up in Pennsylvania. And it's one of the few third places left in society. Third place meaning not the place you live and not the place you work, but the place you gather. So it's interesting to see a place like this kind of going away all across the country because these are very common, and you know what's going to become of them. It's also a little bit eerie to see them start to die as you go into a mall. A lot of the malls today, more than half the stores are empty, and that's just strange to me.
Can I help you?
I'd like to get my ear pierced.
Well, better make it quick, kiddo. In 5 minutes, this place is becoming a Starbucks.
As a third place, it's neutral ground. It's a place where culture was shared. You would dress a certain way to show your culture to other people. It was also a place where you connected. You can connect with friends. You could go with family. It was one of the few places that you could just go and be around other people. And so the decline of the mall is kind of indicative of a growing social void, in the sense that there are no other places where people can gather.
Every sign points to one obvious culprit, a giant rat. You'll have to shut down the mall.
On President's Day weekend, are you crazy?
Crazy with concern for the public, yes. Now shut this place down before the old folks come in for their morning walk.
Once malls go away for good, which they probably will, what's going to take their place? So next you're going to see inside some of the malls. We're going to visit this one, we're going to visit 2 malls in Ohio, and then one that is my new hometown mall in California.
Just missed him. He was here like 15 minutes ago. I think he said he was going to the Galleria, right? Yeah.
The Galleria?
So here you can see how empty the end of this mall is on the second floor. You can also kind of zoom down and just see how few people there are in the mall. Here's kind of a view of just more empty stores from the second floor. And here I'm trying to show what's obviously a dead Hollister store. Very interesting. And then just a little bit down from that, there was an advertisement for another store in a clothes store in the form of a mannequin. So I think that was like a Finish Line running store advertisement. Here you can see where in the 80s that was normally what's called a sunglass hut. On the corners there on the second floor, they would cantilever out the store over the first floor, and that was where you bought your sunglasses. And then here on the second floor, just more stores that are empty, one after the other after the other. And you can kind of get a full view as I'm walking of both levels, how few stores there are. Mostly just female apparel stores left. More stores that are empty on the second floor, but again, female apparel stores still open, but really nobody in them really. So I'm outside the mall now, and yeah, given my rookie mistake about the microphone and everything, but what you didn't see was that I got stopped by security for taking video in the mall. So they said no photography, no video, which is interesting. They said it's part of their code of conduct. I did read the code of conduct on the way out. It was posted on the door. There's a weird guy waiting at the entrance, and I feel like he was watching me when I went in, which is why security came around to talk to me. But maybe he's a partial owner, maybe he's a manager, or I don't know what, but they seem to be watching me. And as I was taking video and pictures around the mall, but it said no photos or video for any kind, especially commercial use. I think it's probably something around, people posting videos and showing that it's a poor investment, it affects the commercial real estate value or something like that. Whatever. But I was able to get some. Yeah, I messed up the mic and I plugged in my receiver for the mic, and I put the mic on, but I forgot to press the on button on the mic, so the sound went nowhere because it was transmitting to the mic that wasn't on. And so you'll see me overlaying the video with my own voiceover anyway. And the voiceover while I was walking around probably wasn't great anyway, so all good, doesn't matter. Yeah, so my main takeaway for this mall, Montgomery Mall, here in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, this area called North Wales, I guess. Montgomeryville area, North Wales, Gwynedd, you know, sort of like Montgomery County, which is northwest of Philadelphia. And this mall had significance because it was the one I grew up with. But coming back here, you can see the exterior walls are pretty well beat up by weather. It's been, you know, 40, 50, 60 years. I'll check when this was built for this video. But yeah, overall, probably about 40% occupancy in terms of the stores. And then of that occupancy, about half, or maybe a little less than half, were kind of mom and pop stores that were not chains. And, you know, definitely not mass market stores that you'd think would be super profitable. So, you know, given that, I give this mall maybe 2 or 3 years. It's 2024 at the time of this video. End of 2024, October. I'd probably give this mall another 2 or 3 years before it closes up for good. So it's weird. A place that I grew up with maybe going away forever. It's weird. But I guess it happens a lot, you know, and things always change, so you guys just got to be ready for it. And hopefully in the next couple malls that I give you footage from, I won't screw up the mic, but also I won't get kicked out by a security guard. But if you can think of reasons why a security guard would keep me from shooting video and photos inside the mall, just let me know. Definitely weird. And they definitely started following me around, so I wanted to honor my word that I would not keep going on the video and have to get chased out. Because I could run fast. I would outrun them easily. It would be no problem, but I just didn't want to cause a fuss. You can see just store after store after store after store, just pretty much empty all the way down on this floor. It's kind of depressing to see like this, especially when this used to be a popular place on a Saturday, and now there's just nobody here. It's just empty, and it's dark too. Like there's half the lights aren't even on. You can see this is like a dark section in the middle of the mall. Even where there's a skylight, it's dark. So it's just a little bit depressing. And keep in mind, this is a mall on a Saturday in Pennsylvania, in the populated parts of Pennsylvania. Not very many people. So I just walked by the food court, and there's literally one or two places. It's so depressing, I don't even want to show it. But if I do a quick spin around, you can look behind me. You can see there's not many stores that are open right now. And they probably already spotted me, so I probably have to get off video now. But you can see it just continues. There's just nothing. There's nothing ahead of me. There's nothing behind me. It's crazy. You can see on either side here, there's no stores at all at this end of the mall, and not so many upstairs either. We'll take a look, but one of the things is going on in this mall is that there is a baseball card, like flea market, and I could see that as a use for malls. But obviously, baseball cards are going the same way as malls, and I'm probably going to do a video about that in the future too. But interesting use of a mall, like a flea market space. I would say even better, like if you could drive in and be like a farmer's market space where you could sell food and stuff and fruit and produce and that sort of thing. But this mall is pretty empty. We'll take another couple videos here. And you can see the use of the space as a baseball card kind of flea market, which I think is a good idea, but probably something better than baseball cards because they're not very popular. So just like malls are nostalgic, seeing all these baseball cards is pretty nostalgic for me. I just hope that these guys are able to sell them. So I talked to security and they said as long as I don't post it on social media. But I don't have any followers and I'm not making any money on YouTube, so I would call this not for commercial use. It's for my own personal interest. See how that works? So we're all good. But you can see this mall is not very packed. There's no stores on the second floor, barely. And pretty interesting. No one's here. So one thing about this mall, they have an anchor store as a grocery store. You can see it down there. It's a Wegmans. So that's kind of an interesting use of a... You may see that more where anchor stores are actually grocery stores. So Wegmans is a upscale shopping grocery store that sells a lot of fresh food and things like that. And it's more popular on the East Coast than on the West Coast for sure. But a novel use of an anchor store, so pretty interesting. So that may be something that you see more. But all it is just extending the certain death of a mall, because these malls are still going away. So this is the more modern entrance. You can see a little more modern. But the funny thing about this anchor store, Wegmans, right down there, is that you can't get into the mall from the Wegmans. So it's just kind of attached, but it's not, you can't go through from the grocery store to the mall. Kind of weird. So let's go over some of the reasons that I think malls are going away, and you can comment below and give us your thoughts as well. But the first is obviously e-commerce and Amazon. Obviously it's way easier, way better, way more convenient, way safer to press a button, get your package on a doorstep within hours, and then if you have to return it, you don't even have to drive it back anywhere. Sometimes you can drive it just a few miles to your local Whole Foods or Amazon locker and take it back that way, and it's quite easy. You don't have to go back to stores to return things. So now what you have is fewer people going to malls, which means fewer sales. And window shopping is not really a thing anymore. People don't make decisions about buying things based on what they see in a window, unless they're in a small town or it's some weird Hallmark movie. It's just not a thing anymore. The second reason is I think we probably overbuilt too many malls. There's probably, the first few malls probably were doing really well in the 50s and 60s to 70s, and they're like, let's make a ton more. And for some reason they did. Here the mall density was fairly high. I'm near other malls such as the King of Prussia Mall. There's probably a handful of malls in this area. I'll throw up a map here. You can see what that looks like. But I'll give you another example. Two of the malls you'll see in this video are from Ohio, and they're actually only 20 minutes apart. But not only that, they're on the same road, 20 minutes apart, and in between them is an outdoor mall called The Green. And three malls within 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes of each other, that's just too much. And they're all not going to survive, and they're all not doing well, and you'll see more on that. So I think we overbuilt, and there's just too many malls. There's also too many strip malls, but let's just focus on the traditional mall in the sense that you walk in, it's all indoors, and there's a big roof over top. weirdly enough, the only crowded place in this mall is the Chick-fil-A, which has a basketball hoop outside. Kind of weird, but it's the only place where there's people. And there's not many, but everybody has a Chick-fil-A bag in this mall. So this is Dayton Mall. Not a lot of people. Probably about 40 to 50% of the stores unoccupied. One of the major anchors is dead. I'm standing here by a store with a hole in the wall. And interestingly enough, behind me here, one of the anchors is a church. So that's pretty interesting. But I would probably give this mall another year or two max before it's kind of done, based on the number of people I'm seeing and then occupancy of the stores. The third reason malls are dying is because department stores are dying. So when anchor stores go away, the other stores go away. People don't go to JCPenney, Macy's, or Sears anymore. I mean, who do you know that actually shops at these places? People go to Target, people go to Walmart, people shop on Amazon, and that's it. And since those were the things that brought the traffic back in the day, then there's nothing to keep the smaller stores around. So things like co-tenancy agreements were agreements that if the big stores were to close or have any issue, then the smaller stores could get out of their lease. And so when that kicks in, that just causes a chain effect where if big stores leave, then smaller stores leave pretty quickly after that. Another reason is that the math stopped working out, and economically things just got worse. So rents are still sky high, and when your overhead to run the mall, like security and landscaping and all these things, persist, and it just become too expensive, and then also your risk goes up, so your cap rates are going up, investors run out, and your interest rates are higher, so you have fewer buyers buying the malls or getting involved in malls at all. It's just bad business. So the math stopped working out, and that's really just a function of where the economy is as well. And of course 2008 started the shift for malls like this. They didn't bounce back well in 2008. And then the 2020s made it even worse when we realized we didn't have to leave the house for much. And now not a lot of people do leave the house for much. Also, another reason is the wrong tenants. So things like apparel companies, these places lost their appeal partially due to things like fast fashion, which you'll see online, and companies like Shine and others that evolve quickly and make, let's face it, they make pretty crappy clothes, but people still buy them and wear them because they're cheap. Also, there's been a late pivot to things like experiences. So you've probably seen arcades and AR, VR stops and things like that where people can go and have some kind of experience. But malls have made this weird shift to these places, and you still wonder how they're in business because you'll see that they're mostly empty. A lot of malls have just turned into big food courts and just have a lot of restaurants. That's keeping some of them alive for a while, but not really working. And then a lot of them have like entertainment stuff where it's like cinemas or movie theaters, and they become the anchors. But again, this is a lifeline that may not last in the long run. And a lot of the malls have also moved to like healthcare. They've moved to a bunch of dentist offices and dermatology offices and just healthcare things, and which is kind of depressing if you think about it, because no one ever used to go to the mall to do healthcare things. But maybe that's the thing that has to replace it in the long run. This mall actually has very few empty stores and actually has a lot of people walking around in it. And it's not just people doing the fitness walking, it's people actually shopping. So I'm surprised at the amount of people in here, the density of the stores as well. This is actually not bad. Yeah, so this mall is not as bad as I thought it would be. There's a fair amount of people. This is a midday on a Tuesday in the middle of the week, and there's a lot of people here. We got a pet shop, arcade, and a Chick-fil-A training center here in the end. Pretty interesting. Yeah, so I'm actually surprised that most of these stores are actually full. There's only maybe, I can count on one hand how many empty stores there were in this mall. People here are actually shopping and walking around looking for things. So I was surprised that that was the case. And the anchor stores are surprisingly still going. JCPenney, Dick's Sporting Goods, I don't know if you want to call that an anchor store. And then there was a home and furniture store, was another anchor. So this one actually is doing better than I thought overall. I'm surprised to see this store still open. Just has knickknacks that you would find in a Midwest house. A lot of these stores I'm looking into, and on second thought, you know, maybe things aren't so good here, because I look into a store and I see maybe one or two people shopping in the store. A lot of people are out in the middle of the mall, but I worry about the amount of traffic in the actual stores. So maybe not as good as it looks in terms of economically. We'll see. Another reason is that malls are going away is because people's habits changed. With remote work, people do less driving, and you know, that migration of people and how we work, you know, has reshaped what a spending zone looks like. People don't want to go to this island in the middle of nowhere called a mall to go spend their money. And there was also this shift to, you know, lifestyle centers where people actually live where they shop. So you'll see some outdoor malls have living spaces or apartments or condominiums attached very close by. Again, I think that'll last for a little while, but even the outdoor malls in these environments and these sort of mixed-use lifestyle centers are struggling. And another reason is the rising cost of labor, theft, insurance, and maintenance. Just inflation killed malls for sure, and that just made profitability weak. And when your in-store margins are running super thin, you just don't have hope. The last reason I'd say is just in terms of returning things. If you buy things online and return in store, even if you're still going back to the store to do that, that's not inducing enough impulse buys that you might see before in a traditional mall. Hey, so I'm here in Torrance, California at the LUMA Mall. And this is one of the remaining thriving malls in the country. And Torrance is a suburb of Los Angeles, so you have a lot of population, but it's nice to see that the idea of a mall still exists, at least here in Torrance, California. Happy to say that this is my home mall, so I always have the option to come here and be a bit nostalgic about going shopping. And so I really like to see that it's thriving here. As you can see, it's quite busy. This is early August, middle of the summer, late on a Saturday, and so that's why there's so many people here. And it's thriving quite a bit. As far as business goes, most of these stores are full. There's no empty, unrented space in here except for in the old part. So this is the new part, highly renovated, very nice. And then there's an older part of Del Amo Mall, which I'll go take some video of so you can see it. Some of the anchor stores, you get the typical ones here. Macy's is right behind me here. You can see there's, you can't see anyone coming out of it right at the moment, but these places are fairly full, but it's not thriving, I would say. So the department stores are probably not what they could be. There's an old bookstore here next to me that is thriving, a lot of people in it. This mall has all the typical stores, and all the stores seem to be doing pretty well, which is unusual in 2025. So it's really nice to come here and kind of reminisce and feel what a mall used to feel like 30, 40 years ago when I was a kid. So here we're walking into the older part of Del Amo Mall, which is a little more traditional looking. As you look down, it's a little more traditional. It is redone quite a bit, but you start to see some of the weirder shops, like phone accessories and fitness equipment and gyms and other kind of things that you wouldn't normally see in a mall. So somehow every existing mall still has a Bath and Body Works and a Wetzel's Pretzels. So I don't know how that is, but somehow they just will live forever. And of course you got to have your standard massage chairs right there in the mall. Every good mall has to have massage chairs. Here, I'll just do an advertisement for this place, My Western Cut. It's got Western clothes, pretty cool. So down here in the south end of the Del Amo Mall, this is kind of the old section, and there's a Dave & Buster's as an anchor, which you probably see more often nowadays than you would before. There's a Marshall's, which is like your inexpensive clothes stores like Ross and TJ Maxx. And then down here at the end, which you can't really see, like way back here, that's where Sears used to be. There used to be a Sears anchor store there, and now it's completely gone forever. Here's another angle of those clothes stores. You can see that there's just nothing on this side, and that's the old side of the Del Amo Mall. So while you see in the video from the outside, you can see that anchor store is gone. So even in a thriving mall like this, there's some aspects of it that show you that things may not last as they are. What do we think malls are going to be? Comment below, let me know what you think. But here's a couple ideas. The first could be senior villages. We know we have an aging population. We're skewing to having a population distribution of older folks, and we're going to have to build more nursing homes. We're going to have to build more senior homes. This is where malls could come into play and be quite useful. You could take a store and turn it into an apartment or 2 or 3. Each store is a living space for the elderly, making use of the escalators there so they don't have to do stairs. And you could have stores, you could have restaurants, you could have healthcare facilities, all in one place as a living community for seniors. So that's one area that I can see some potential, because people are going to build senior homes anyway. Second could be things like drone taxi and transportation hubs. I think drone taxis are going to become something that's more common, hopefully not quite like Back to the Future.
What the hell was that?
Taxi cab.
What do you mean a taxi cab? I thought we were flying.
Precisely.
But you can make use of malls and the large amount of parking that's available, such as the parking that's all around me, to use in a transportation hub. As drones become more of a mode of transportation, they'll probably have drone routes throughout different cities, and malls would act as a great transportation hub for those drone taxis. The third would be something like mixed-use microcities where people live, work, and play. So maybe it's not just for seniors. Maybe it's more than that. So maybe there's homes, there's offices, craft food halls, farmers markets, and that kind of thing, all in one place. And so that would be a super useful thing to do with a mall. I'm not sure if we'll get there, but it could be a route for cheap housing, especially for younger generations in the future. Next thing you could do with a mall is make it an urban farm. So you could actually make it a place where, almost like a greenhouse as well. A lot of malls already have huge skylights in them, so you might as well use the sun that's coming into the mall. But it's a protected place where you can grow food, and people can practice growing food, learn how to grow food, and it could be like a co-op space as well. And then you integrate cafes and restaurants that are using that food that's grown in the mall or in that urban farm, and that could be a really good use of the space. And then last but not least, but doubling down on the fact that most malls have a lot of healthcare things in them. They have dental offices, they have family practices, they have chiropractors, all these kind of things. Well, what if malls just became huge health and education mega centers where there's clinics, labs, fitness, physical fitness, mental fitness, places to go for counseling and psychology help and that sort of thing. If there was also spas, and so it's not just dental offices and boring chiropractor offices. Not that there's anything wrong with chiropractors, but according to AI, chiropractors are killing a lot of people, especially old people, so you gotta be careful.
All right, here we go. Deep breath.
Oh, gee willikins!
So that's the video on malls. I hope you appreciate some of the ideas that were discussed today. I hope you can appreciate that malls used to be something really cool, and now they're going away. And it's kind of sad, but it's also, everything has to change, everything can't last, and that's just how it is. So thanks for watching today. Until next time, keep thinking and being, and do not go gentle into that good night.